Hey everybody, Ramen Robbie here, back with another video for you. So as most of you know, officiating has been a very hot topic in the NFL this season, especially after Monday night's debacle between the Lions and the Packers. And all this chatter about officiating has really inspired me to make a compilation video reviewing all the times the Cleveland Browns have been screwed by NFL referees since 1999. Now I want to make one thing clear, I do not think the NFL is rigged. The referees are the last reason the Browns have been so bad the past 20 years. But I still think a video like this is important because it seems like every time there's one of these egregiously bad calls against the Browns, and it seems to happen almost every year, it just gets kind of swept under the rug. Like, it's just business as usual, move on to the next one, and that's that. And that's frustrating because you know if it happened to a team like the Cowboys, it'd be discussed to no end. Like, it'd be talked about on every show on TV you can possibly imagine, even non-sport shows probably. So that's why I find value in making a video like this. So just to give a basic overview of what this video is going to be like, really I'm just going to go chronologically starting in 1999 and then kind of go through and highlight all the famous blown calls that have hurt the Browns over the years. With the exception of Bottlegate. I will not be talking about Bottlegate because that's a really long story, and if you're really curious about it, you can just go on my channel. I have that video in its entirety, the entire 30 minutes. So just go watch that if you really want to. But anyway, with all that laid out, let's get started with the video. So example number 1 comes from Week 13, 2007, Browns at Cardinals. In here, Browns quarterback Derek Anderson's going to drop back and throw up a bomb intended for Kellen Winslow. And this is the last play of the game. And as you see, Winslow catches it, but he's clearly pushed out of bounds by Arizona's defenders. And this was back when the force-out rule was still in effect in the NFL. And what the force-out rule was is, if a player caught the ball but he was clearly forced out of bounds by the defenders, it would be ruled a force-out. And here, I just don't get how they don't call that. Because look, he still managed to get one foot in bounds. I mean, Winslow was a very athletic guy, so he definitely could have got both feet in bounds. But they did not call it, and that was that. And this is in 2007, the Browns missed out on the playoffs by one game, so unbelievable. Example number 2 comes from Week 6, 2009, Browns at Steelers. Otherwise known as the day the Browns-Steelers rivalry died. I hope you get the reference. But what we have here is, on 4th down, Ben Roethlisberger did a QB sneak, and the officials are measuring to see whether or not he got a first down. So they're doing the measurement right now, and they put the stick down. And call me crazy, but is that not short of the first down marker? I mean, that's a pretty sizable gap between the football and the first down marker. You can see a lot of grass there. But inexplicably, the Steelers are given a first down. Very strange, I don't know how to explain that one. Example number 3 comes from Week 14, 2013, Browns at Patriots. And this was just a sickening loss. The Browns were up 12 points with like a minute left, but of course found a way to lose. And a big reason they lost was because of this play right here. First down from the 30, Tom Brady drops back, throws a bomb to the end zone. And look at that, a bullshit pass interference call. Excuse my language, but just unbelievable. How do you make that call there? That just changes the entire game. And look, there was like a tad bit of contact, sure, but you cannot call that right there. I mean, set the Patriots up at the 1-yard line and they went ahead for the go-ahead score. It's like, just that stuff right there leads people to think the NFL's rigged. Like, again, I'm not saying it's rigged, I don't think it is, but like, if you're the NFL, like, you gotta know what this is gonna result in. And that was actually the last time the Browns played in New England, and funny enough, their next game is at New England, so if there are any Browns players listening to this, please get redemption for this game. This is honestly top 3 worst losses since '99. Example number 4 comes from Week 12, 2015, Ravens at Browns. Now this was the famous Kick 6 game, and what you see here is Browns kicker Travis Coons is going to attempt a 51-yard field goal for the win. Now his kick gets blocked, and the Ravens pick it up and return it for a touchdown. How about that? But did you notice that one of the Ravens players jumped off sides before the kick? And the guy who picked it up and ran down the sideline, it looked like he stepped out of bounds. You see that right there? But both of those did not get called. The offsides didn't get called, and the stepping out of bounds did not get called. Now, either way, I'm not going to jump on the officials for this one because there is no reason the Browns should have allowed this to happen. Just totally inexcusable and embarrassing. So honestly, I blame the Browns more than I blame the refs here. But anyway, that's that. Example number 5 comes from Week 2, 2016, Ravens at Browns again. And what we have here is the Browns trail by 5, so they need a touchdown to win the game. And they actually have all the momentum right here, because on this drive they kept picking up first downs, and they really were threatening to score. And eventually Josh McCown throws a completion to Terrell Pryor, but after the completion, Terrell Pryor flicks the ball and it hits the Ravens guy in the helmet, and as a result he gets a taunting penalty there. Unbelievable. How do you make this call? It just changes the entire game, just like the Patriots game earlier. And I'm not being a homer here, to me it didn't even look like he was taunting the guy. Wouldn't he have been looking at him if it was a taunt? He just was trying to hand the ball to the referee. Now granted, it was a stupid way to hand the ball to the official. And I think after the game, Hugh Jackson said something like, "We gotta do a better job handing the ball to the refs," which is kind of funny, but still just a despicable call here. And like I said, it just makes people think that the referees are doing nefarious things here. But whatever. Now, example number 6 actually comes a few weeks later in Washington. This is Browns at Redskins Week 4, 2016. And this one is just, I'm sure all of you are familiar with this one. Joe Thomas tweeted the other day he still has PTSD from this, and I totally agree with him. I still wake up in the middle of the night sweating sometimes from this. But what we have here is at a very critical point in the game, Duke Johnson takes the handoff, picks up the first down, but does fumble, which he was known to do from time to time. But he comes out of the pile holding the football, so he clearly recovered the football here. I mean, he's holding it up for everybody to see. And the Browns players are screaming at the officials like, "Hey, look, we have the football." But they aren't looking for whatever reason. And they signal that the Redskins recovered. I mean, oh my God, this is just... Again, I'm not saying the NFL is rigged. I really don't believe it is. But stuff like this leads people to think it is. So this is just baffling stuff that nobody has an explanation for. And I actually don't remember what the official explanation was. I don't even remember if they addressed it the next day, but just despicable what happened here. Example number 7 comes from Week 4, 2018, Browns at Raiders. Now I'm sure you're all familiar with this one. This is the infamous Carlos Hyde ball spot overturn, whatever you want to call it. And just to give some context here, the Browns are up by 8, and all they need to do is pick up a first down, and they essentially end the game because they can just run out the clock. And Carlos Hyde takes the handoff, and at first glance appears to have picked up the first down. Now the referee does go under the hood to take a second look at it, which is fine. But he comes back from under the hood, and guess what? He says that Carlos Hyde is short of the first down marker. What a surprise. Of course, in the National Football League, there has to be conclusive evidence to overturn any call, and any novice can tell you that this was not conclusive evidence. I mean, how in the world do you say he was short of the first down marker here? Now, the only thing I can possibly think of was, if you look at this angle right here, Carlos Hyde's hand does hit the grass right there. It appears to hit the grass, and the ball appears to be short. But if you look at this angle, it's clear his hand did not hit the grass, so that angle is very deceiving. And as you see, when his elbow hits the ground there, to me it looks like the ball is clearly crossed the first down marker. So, again, I don't know what the hell they saw there. And like I've been criticizing the NFL for this entire video, calls like this just create conspiracy theories. Because I remember after this game, a popular conspiracy theory was that the league was protecting their buddy John Gruden from going 0-4, because had the Raiders lost this game, they would have dropped to 0-4. So, and of course the Raiders ended up winning this game, and just unbelievable. But anyway, let's move on. Example number 8 just comes a few weeks later, actually. This is Week 6, 2018, Chargers at Browns. And what we have here is a Chargers offensive lineman clear as day jumping off sides in front of all the officials, but it does not get called, and it actually led to a Chargers touchdown right there. And that was a huge momentum swing in the game, so just inexcusable, very inexcusable. Now to the NFL's credit, they did fire this official just a few weeks later, so props to the NFL for that. And our last example comes from Week 7, 2018, so just the following week actually, and this is Browns at Buccaneers. And what we have here is Baker Mayfield's going to take it himself, and this is a pretty good run on his part, about 30 to 35 yards. And then he's going to slide, clearly giving himself up. but then he gets drilled in the head by one of Tampa Bay's players. Clear helmet-to-helmet contact. And what's strange is there's no penalty on the play. And what makes it even weirder is the referee goes on the PA system and says the runner was allowed to get hit in the head, which is baffling to say the least because, I mean, everybody knows it's frowned upon the past 10 to 15 years to hit a player in the head, because of the whole concussion stigma. But it's allowed to take place here, so I don't know. I don't have words for this one. I mean, I guess I could be wrong. Maybe I don't understand the rule well enough, but I never really saw a good explanation here. I think it was just swept under the rug like usual. So, another mystery call in 2018. But anyway, that's going to complete this little list of top 8 worst calls against the Browns since 1999, in no particular order, just chronological. And it is very possible that I forgot one because the first one on this list is from 2007, and there's an 8-year gap between 99 and 07, so it's very likely that I forgot one. So, and remember, I'm not doing Bottlegate, so don't mention that one. But that's going to conclude this part of the video. Man, that was a tough video to watch. And to make. How do you think I felt making this thing? It's like reliving it all over again. Just unbelievable. But I was thinking, maybe I'm being unfair because I chose a 20-year window, and that's a long time, and bad calls are a part of the game. These referees are human. So it's possible I'm being unfair. But call me crazy, it just seems like these egregiously bad calls happen to the Browns more than anybody else. And they're always just like calls that defy logic. Like that Carlos Hyde spot last year is just... That was the closest I ever came to thinking the NFL was rigged, because what other explanation is there? I mean, that's just very suspicious. But anyway, I digress. Now, before I sign off, I do want to end with one little note. About 2 or 3 months ago, I created a Patreon account. And you might remember at the end of my top 5 Browns wins video, that's where I first plugged it. And I am sad to report that after 3 months, I still do not have one patron, which is very disappointing to say the least, but at the same time, it's to be expected because I didn't really plug it much. In fact, I think that was the only time I've advertised it. So I'm going to ask again, please consider supporting me on Patreon. It would do a lot for my channel. If you're asking why you should donate to me, there was some guy who commented, "Dude, why do you need a Patreon?" It's because I would be able to make significant upgrades. Like, for example, I could buy a camera. I wouldn't have to record videos using my cell phone. I could buy lights and build an actual studio. So just stuff like that. I could make software updates, and because right now I'm using Movavi Video Editor, which is pretty elementary. And I promise I'll make it worth your while. As soon as I start getting a few patrons, like at least 2 or 3, then I'm going to start doing a weekly mini podcast, like similar to what Tony Grossi does, that 100 Years War podcast he does, which is like 15 minutes long. I'll start doing something like that every week. And that may interest some of you because on this channel I primarily talk about like vintage Brown stuff, like what I consider vintage in my lifetime, like early 2000s. So if you want to hear me talk more about the modern 2019 Cleveland Browns, then definitely support me on Patreon and you can get access to that podcast I'll start doing. But with all that said, that's going to conclude this video. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time, I'm Ramen Robbie, and thanks for watching.
It's been 1 week since you cheated me. Lions fans were pride, but now they're angry. 5 plays that the whistle blew. When Green Bay was losing, we knew what you were gonna do. 3 mice that are blind to see. All of these bad calls by the referees. Pretty bad when Joe Buck agrees. The officiating sucks by the NFL referees. Hold on now and don't you dare blink, cause the referees stink. You think you're looking at comedians.